Hello there and welcome to another episode of Business Redefined, the show that brings you up to date or up to speed on matters business and economics. My name is Nina Shaban and today we're going to focus on the Hustler Fund and the regulations that are surrounding the micro, small and medium enterprises sector. And joining me is Simon Chalagui, who is the Cabinet Secretary of the MSME Sector's Development. Thank you so much for having us, sir.
Thank you, Nina. Welcome to the Ministry of Cooperatives and Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises.
All right. Thank you, sir. Now, I'd like us to start off with the status of the Hustler Fund. If I could just throw in some statistics. The President has indicated that about 800,000 Kenyans who have borrowed from the Hustler Fund have struggled to service their loans. What proportion of the total Hustler Fund lending is attributable to these 800,000?
Oh, thank you very much. Maybe to put it better, Nina, is Hustler Fund is 2 months old. We launched it on the 1st of December, and with a lot of fanfare, a lot of hype, and there was a lot of excitement in the country. And to date, we have now crossed over 18 million Kenyans who have joined this Hustler Fund. And among those 15 million have borrowed. And out of that 15 million who have borrowed, 14.2 million are doing very well. They are borrowing and they are repaying their loans. So about approximately 800,000 are struggling. And this in percentage form, you can see is less than 800,000 divided by 10% is 1.5. So it's about 5% of the fund is struggling. And from our own standards and from the industry standards, the digital lenders, the banks, and many others, we are within range. And we believe going forward with the new products we are going to introduce, we'll even do better. Now,
Buenos Dias, the State Department of Cooperatives seems to be one of the biggest beneficiaries when it comes to the supplementary budget estimates that we have seen from Treasury. And we're looking at about 19.7 billion in increase is dedicated to this particular department. So what amount of this 19.7 billion shillings is dedicated to the Hustler Fund?
The Hustler Fund has 4 products. We've just done the first product, personal loan product. And the second one is going to be micro loan, which we are launching end of this month. The third one will be small SME loan. And the final one will be startup loans. Out of this, the Hustler Fund is going to take bulk of this money, approximately 12 billion shillings will go to the Hustler Fund, in addition to what we have already dispensed. And the intention here is to facilitate financial inclusion and to cover unbanked, the forgotten, the marginalized members of our society to be part of the government, the development of this country. And there's a lot that we think we can gain from empowering our people. And among them could be in future, they'll benefit from the low-cost, affordable low-cost housing. When we empower people, they can afford the 3, 5, 10,000 that government is asking to pay for a house. We can also we can ride on the same success to introduce the universal health care. If one is empowered, he can raise 17 shillings a day, which NHIF is asking. And that fund will go towards medical provision, both inpatient and outpatient. So in a way, when we have an empowered society, we can now deliver other social economic benefits to them.
All right. And on that note, since we're the Hustler Fund is all about access to finance, the President also announced that effective the 4th of February 2023, which is a few days or a few weeks ago, 42% of the borrowers would have their borrowing ceilings revised upwards. So I'd like to know, has this happened, and to what extent would you say this is accelerating uptake of credit from the Hustler Fund kitty?
Yeah, that is the President made the announcement last week on Thursday, and alongside this announcement comes actions and regulatory requirements that needs to be sorted, comes the technological setting of the limits, and comes preparation of the service providers. We have about 5 service providers, the telcos, the 3 mobile companies in Kenya who deliver for us the Hustler Fund to the beneficiaries. Then we have backups, wallets held in 2 banks, KCB and Family Bank, and they are the ones who now give liquidity to these wallets, the mobile wallets. Now, immediately the president made this announcement, we embarked on a serious engagement with the service providers, and as we speak, we should be able now to raise the limit by tomorrow. We should, everybody else who have been mapped out, the names have been mapped out, those who have done very well, this limit, raising of the limit is going to only those who have borrowed and repaid. And from tomorrow, we've already done our bit. We've mapped, we've costed how much that will be. It will need additional 1.8 billion to cover the limit, raising of the limit. We've already, Treasury has supported us. We've already dispersed that fund to the central, the trust accounts, and the mobile companies now are going to just switch on. So we believe that again will give a big boost to the Hustler Fund. There will be more money available to those who have done very well, and that serves to address the real reason why the Hustler Fund was established, because we wanted to give Kenyans, to empower Kenyans, give them an opportunity that each one can work hard and honor their obligations. Once they do that, it means even banks will be able to know when Nina comes, you have a statement from the Hustler Fund. Before, maybe you didn't have an opportunity, but now you've been given an opportunity, you've borrowed the money and you've repaid the money. You've borrowed 3, 4, 5 times in the last 4 months. There is a statement to prove. Then you can actually be transitioned to other mainstream banks, and you can now borrow, and banks have something to start with. So that is exactly what we're talking about. So we believe in the end, we might have about, in this first initiative, almost 10 million Kenyans are going to be good for any other financial institution.
All right. So my next question to you, Mr. CS, is on the fact that there's about 10% or less than 10% of Kenyans who are formally employed. So how is the ministry planning to deal with this grim statistics, especially when it comes to the young people? I think when you're giving me information in our former question, you might have started to answer that, but can we now direct it for the young people? How is the ministry planning to achieve this entrepreneurship?
A number of things need to be done. As you rightly put it, we have about 18 million working class in Kenya. Majority of them are young people, but the 3 million are formally employed. 15 million are informally employed. Majority of them are the ones we're trying to support through the Hustler Fund. And you also, to give you further statistics, approximately 5.8 million enterprises are not registered, and only 1.5 million are registered. So both registered and unregistered are the ones giving the 15 million Kenyans some form of job, some form of job, which is, we call it informal. In other languages, juakali. So these fellows do not have a working station, they don't have a pay slip, they don't pay NHIF, they don't pay NSSF, and they are working in certain environment. Now, to give them formality, a study was carried out by Kenya Bureau of Statistics and also KIPRA and all those research institutions, and they found out 2 issues that affect these people or keep them down there, keep them informal, is lack or access to affordable credit or affordable finance, and also access to markets. So the Hustler Fund is an initiative of government to address the first challenge, that is access to affordable credit. We went further and even established that among the 10 million Kenyans listed in CRB, all of them were coming from this sector, the informal sector. And the challenge, they were listed for very small money, between 300 shillings and 700 shillings. And that is how we designed our product, the financial inclusion product, the Hustler Fund, to range between 500 shillings up to 3,000, up to actually 5,000 for the first applicants, based on now parameters that we could gather, usage of airtime, mobile, M-Pesa and all that. But now going forward, we'll be giving them financial grade. So as you borrow, you earn a grade, meaning in the nearest future, Nina will go to a tenant or landlord, and for the landlord to accept you or reject you, he will ask you for your financial grade. If you are a wholesaler and a retailer comes, doesn't have enough money, you will ask for his financial grade. And that grade could determine how much credit you can extend. Same to Mama Mboga, same to somebody in transport, same to any form of trade. So in a way, we are empowering people. So all these 15 million, our approach is we give them financial support. This is one initiative. And then two, aggregate and develop markets for all of them. So that is how we will then shift. And I'm seeing in the next, going by the numbers that I'm interacting with now, possibly given all factors constant, in another 2-3 years, we should begin to see people moving from informal level to informality to formality. And that means they begin to be responsible citizens, they begin to be to pay NHIF, NSSF, they can participate in national projects like national housing, they can take up medical insurance, means we move them from NHIF, they can fund their medical costs, and begin to move many Kenyans from social protection. You remember I was Minister for Labor and Social Protection. Over 3 million Kenyans are on government depends. They depend on government. The 2,000 that is given to senior citizens, elderly, the vulnerable children and people living with disability. Now you earn your retirement. You no longer require government to give you money at your old age. You can finance your retirement.
All right. Well, at this particular juncture, I would like for us to take a very quick break on Business Redefined. And when we come back, we'll now take a look at the regulations in the MSMEs and corporate sector. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you are watching Business Redefined. We have Simon Chiligo, who is the CS of Cooperators and MSMEs Development in Kenya. Thank you once again for having us. Now, when the CS, I'd like us to come back with the question around the inter-market lending infrastructure for SACCOs. Where are we standing from your point of view?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nina. This is a great idea, which has been under discussion for the last 5 years. I think it has received a lot of resistance from some mainstream financial institutions because SACCOs are equally becoming competitive. They are dealing with the mass market, the common mwananchi, and their network is spread across the country, and they are able to go as deep as possible in our communities. So they can be the immediate intermediaries and mobilize deposits. However, I've taken up this responsibility and assignment, and I've retraced back where they left, and I established recently that, and I've received so many petitions from all the SACCOs, the regulated and unregulated SACCOs. We have about 361 SACCOs regulated by SASRA. They are deposit taking and non-deposit taking. And there are others, almost 1,500, which are registered. They are below the radar of SASRA. They are still operating their numbers are still small, although we are also looking at ways of building their capacity and all that. Now, where we are on this, we call it SACCO Central. This is a shared facility. This is a shared platform that will help provide core banking. It will enable SACCOs to borrow from each other. It will enable SACCOs to cover each other as far as fraud and cybercrime is concerned. They'll be able to provide backup and support of each other. Now, as we speak today, the World Bank came forth a few years ago, sponsored a study to develop and operationalize this SACCO Central system. And as we speak, the design is ready. It's been finished. I'm waiting for a presentation, and then I need to come up with a policy to guide the whole operation. As a ministry, it's a SACCO-led initiative, but as government, we need to come up with a policy so that we set the rules of the game in the sector. So we have the design. I've been informed, it's ready. And once I receive, I will be able to draft the necessary policy, and then the funding. I think the SACCOs are also working, and we in government and in the cooperative sector feel strongly that this is something that needs to be supported, to be facilitated, so that we can begin to pool resources. We have 1.5 trillion in assets in the SACCO movement. We have 1 trillion in deposits. In loan books, deposit mean 30% of Kenya's deposit is with the SACCOs. So it's a very important player in the mobilization of savings, in pushing and championing the saving culture in our country.
And with that said, would you say we have a time frame on how soon would see this intermarket lending being rolled out?
We had a discussion with them a week ago. I am expecting this brief on the status by a week, and we have agreed also in a roadmap, which is about 6 months to be able to operationalize, because it takes time. You know how our policies and regulations are managed in Kenya. They go through public participation, they go through very many approvals level up to our National Assembly, and all these stakeholders have been mapped out. But I'm waiting for this design so that we take ownership of the. We have that was passed through a omnibus bill by cabinet last year. That bill is now on. I have activated it again. I've resubmitted to government, the cabinet, for just ratification and ownership, because already that been passed. We've done the public participation, and this will allow SASRA to levy the non-deposit taking SACCOs, because sometimes these SACCOs require capacity building, sensitization, training, because they also hold money. Some of them holding up to below 100 million, because above 100 million, they begin to attract attention of SASRA, and the limit has been set at 100 million. Once you attain or reach 100 million in asset, you are classified as specified, and SASRA is now by law allowed to inspect your books and look at your books. But below that, they are non-deposit and SACCOs, and sometimes they fall down or collapse because of lack of supervision. So we are now the stage where we are now is to operationalize the levy and through regulations. So again, and then we roll out through the normal process of the same levy, public participation, and then the parliamentary committee approval.
Now, crossing over to the Micro Small Enterprise Authority, how does the ministry plan to make it familiar and beneficial to MSMEs? The Micro Small
and Medium Enterprise Authority is been around. It's been in existence for some time, for a very specific and important role, to support, to champion, to provide advocacy to small and medium enterprises. As we speak, this government has been formed and elected through the support, through the bottom-up economic plan. MSME is part of that plan. So to champion and to promote SME in Kenya, we need that agency that will assist in terms of licensing. We have several licenses cutting across our 47 counties, that has impacted negatively on our SMEs. People who are doing business in Kiambu and supplying in Nairobi or Kajiado or Narok, they suffer that challenge of multiple licensing. The other issue is the criminalization of these SMEs. So we have MCA to champion that. Then the skilling and reskilling. Along in our constituencies, we are now building CIDPs. So we have also tied this to those SMEs that graduate to medium to financing through Kenya Industry Estates. So MCA is an authority that will serve this idea, that will serve Kenyans well. So to fashion it, we are now going to take some roles, especially the advocacy, empower them through financing, build the CIDPs in our constituencies, and considering they have a wide human resource across the constituencies, they will also be pushing the other products like the Hustler Fund, which will need capacity building. Those who are graduating from personal to medium to startups will use the infrastructure of MSME to engage. MCA is also providing linkages with external regional markets. They are coordinating the small and medium because individually they are still don't have enough financial muscle to maybe venture out. So sometimes we facilitate the trade fairs across the East African region to provide exposure and also maybe build the network and also the contacts they can interact. Okay. So that's what MCA has been doing, and we've always had a budgetary provision every year going around the East African region.
Now, if you look at the tax regime for MSMEs, they're quite complicated, and hence the non-compliance and evasion of taxes. So are there thoughts around simplifying them so that MSMEs pay a single and final tax? And on the other hand, when it comes to business registrations or permits or business permits, these are quite torturous to MSMEs. What hinders the creation of a single MSME business permit that carries all the regulatory and compliance certification?
For sure, yes, that's a good question and a challenge that faces a lot of MSMEs. It's an issue that I'm dealing with now. As you said, there are twin challenges. The first one is the taxation. Along the way, a few years ago, it was decided that businesses below 5 million shillings in turnover, businesses below 5 million do not attract interest. Do not attract taxation. But, that law, that tax regime has not been entrenched across, so that as this SME comes to buy goods or supply services, they are captured. And they end up paying taxes through either supply or through delivery. So in the process, they do not benefit from that relief to pay taxes at a turnover of above 5 million. On the registration, we have a registrar of SME at MCA who is supposed to now move to the ministry as a standalone department to register and regulate SMEs. But that transition has not happened because the taxman has refused to recognize this registrar. Certificates which are issued by a registrar are not considered as legitimate certificate under the ACBO program or any other supply. The Registrar of Business Services is still the only registrar of any enterprise in Kenya. We are championing. The small SMEs are championing, they are asking, they are petitioning us to recognize the Registrar of SME certificate as a legitimate document, and they need to be given a PIN number, like what the Registrar of Business Services does. So that is a discussion we are having now, and that will lessen the burden. It will also give the SMEs a bigger access to businesses. If they had engagements with counties, they had engagements as subcontractors or service providers in any enterprise, the business registration certificate from registrar of SME should hold, should stand out.
How is it going, leveraging on technology and the digital economy so as to expand in the market space?
Wow, I think I'm amazed by the success of the Hustler Fund. We started this project 2 months ago. We did not have an office. We don't have any form of digital platform to ride on. We worked with partners, service providers, and we have experienced a huge success. The other day I had to call the other affirmative funds, Youth Fund, Women Fund, WESO Fund. They've been around for 15 years. They've only, the highest has been able to engage 2.8 million for 15 years. At a cost, half of what they have lent is, what they have spent is half of what they have lent out. We have spent nothing, zero, on this rolling out this fund, because we are riding on existing technology. We've only agreed on a fee, which is now part of the interest, the 8%. So technology is the way to go. Using technology, we can deliver financial services. We can pay for our mortgages. The small enterprise man who is growing tomatoes in Bergera, in Baringo, or in Kirinyaga, and the rice producer in a cooperative in Kirinyaga, can actually, through a platform, create a huge market that can be accessed by a hustler in Kakamega or in Kisumu. You do not have to open markets all over. You can use the technology and be able to open up a huge market for our produce. Most of our hustlers do not have capacity to open warehouses, do not have capacity to open cold rooms, but through this digital platform, once your cabbages are ready, you can take a snap, put it on a platform which is open to many people, and you get to your market, you load in a lorry, they'll be delivered in 12 hours. There is no fridge, and there is no marketing cost. It is direct contact. So digital, ePay in America, and many other form of platforms have succeeded courtesy of technology. I think there was something on partial guarantee.
Yes.
Partial guarantee, or what we call credit guarantee facility, is a fund the government came up with as a way of deepening and supporting SMEs. Majority of them, as I told you earlier, lack or cannot access and afford the conventional financial products that are existing in the market. And this fund has been around, I think it's almost 3 years now. It's not very successful, courtesy of structural challenges, set up structural challenges. Number one, the threshold was set at 1 million shillings. Majority of our MSMEs cannot make it, their turnovers are below. So we need to work and lower it. The second issue is the insistence on Credit Reference Bureau. We are shifting from that to credit score. And we still register people for good behavior, for good character, but should not be used to, exclude people, but as a way of recording good behavior. They are still insisting on security. Majority of our MSMEs do not have security. So access to this facility is also a problem. And then the third one is the banks that were chosen are the big banks. Majority of our SMEs are in SACCOs, MFIs, and all this. So we have to remodel again on that issue, and then also remodel on that approach how we are going to craft the engagement on credit guarantee scheme. It's a very good idea, because if I got an order today of 200,000 shillings, I need to contribute partially, and the fund covers the difference. And the trade finance people know how to arrange how that recovery will be done. but it enables the SME to now deliver on the contract or deliver on the service on time, and also is able to draw now partially from that fund. So it enables many. So the uptake is poor because of those factors. So we need to review. The 3 years period is good enough to now do midterm review. And I think we've built lessons, we've learned lessons, and we've knowledge now which can inform the next action on improving and increasing the uptake through the credit guarantee.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Mr. CS. That was CS Simon Chaligui, who is the Cabinet Secretary of the Cooperatives, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise Development. And this was a Business Redefined with the Australian Nina Shaban. We were discussing matters Hustler Fund and regulations that are surrounding the MSMEs sector.